everyone, welcome to today's lesson. Today's focus is all about irregular nouns, the foreign plural nouns, and how to use these kinds of nouns in subject-verb agreement. So if you're ready, let's get started with our lesson for today. Let's have a quick review on this very famous poem, the plural poem. Let's begin. We'll begin with a box and the plural is boxes, but the plural of ox should be oxen, not oxes. One fowl is a goose, but two are called geese. Yet the plural of moose should never be meese. You may find a lone mouse or a nest full of mice, but the plural of house is houses, not highs. If the plural of man is always called men, why shouldn't the plural of pan be called pen? If I spoke of my foot and showed you my feet, when I give you a boot, would a pair be called beat? If one is a tooth and a whole set are teeth, why shouldn't the plural of booth be called bees? If the singular is this and the plural is this, why shouldn't the plural of kiss be kiss? Then one may be that and three would be those, yet the plural of hat would never be hose. We speak of a brother and also a brethren, but though we say mother, we never say medren. So plurals in English, I think you'll agree, are indeed very tricky, singularly. We understand that these plural nouns have very different rules to follow. That is why today's focus will be different from the previous noun rules that we had earlier. Today, we will be learning about how to change irregular nouns, the uncountables or the mass nouns, and of course, the foreign plural nouns. At the end of this, we'll also be tackling about subject-verb agreement. So let's get started with our lesson for today. The first one is the irregular plural nouns. The irregular plural nouns are these nouns that change either their spelling or have the same spelling. So let's start. Number one, the first one are those irregular plural nouns that change their spelling. We have the child to children, man to men, woman to women, goose to geese, tooth to teeth, foot to feet, die to dice, person to persons or peoples, ox to oxen, louse to lice. Next, we have irregular plural nouns that do not change their spelling, meaning to say they have the same spelling whether they are singular or plural. Example is sheep. So if you have one sheep and you have 100 sheep, you don't say ships, rather you say 100 sheep. We also have trout, which is a fish, shellfish, squid, but squid may also be called squids, clothing, scenery, cod is also a fish, salmon is also a fish but an expensive fish, aircraft, shrimp, tuna, goldfish, music, deer, swine or swines, police, series, wood, moose, public, cattle, fish, reindeer, staff, bison, species, and offspring. So again, when you see these kinds of words, these words do not have an S form. They also do not change their spelling. Rather, whether they are singular or plural, they are the same. The only thing that differs here is that there should be a counter before it so that we would know if it's singular or plural. Likewise, what I said earlier, if you wanted to say you have many sheep, then you would say many. Or you can say a number, like for example, I have 3 goldfish. Okay, but you do not say goldfishes. Okay, though at some English point, there are some people who would say goldfishes is also accepted in the rule. But for the others, likewise the salmon, you don't say salmons. Okay, so again, these irregular plural nouns do not change their spelling whether they are singular or plural, but all you have to do is to put a counter before it. Now, let's move on to the next one. These are mass nouns or uncountable nouns. As I've mentioned to you, there are many different kinds of nouns, and one of those is the mass nouns, or these mass nouns are non-countable. Now, let us remember that these mass nouns are always singular in their meaning. Example, furniture, information, knowledge, jewelry, homework, marketing, livestock, education, courage, bravery, luck, cowardice, greed, clarity, honesty, evidence, insurance, butter, love, news, curiosity, satisfaction, work, mud, weather, racism, sexism, patriotism, chaos, scenery, help, advice, water, fun, wisdom, silence, sugar, coal, spelling, and money. So one of those shocking truths here is that we really do not say, I have many homeworks. So this is one of our common mistake, right? The use of homework or even the use of jewelry. We commonly say jewelries. But for your information, jewelry and homework doesn't have their plural form. Jewelry and homework are understandable as singular. Okay, so if you have many assignments, then you can say, I have many homework. But you don't need to put S to make it plural because this one is an uncountable noun. Okay, just like, for example, the same follows with the word honesty. So you cannot say honesties, right? Or even wisdoms. Okay, so that is the meaning of mass nouns. These nouns are uncountable. You cannot count them. That is why they do not have plural form. Now, there are times that mass nouns can also be counted, especially if these are things. So for example, we are going to use counters or partitive expressions like this one. If you wanted to say soap or chocolates, you can say bar of soap. So a bar of soap could mean one, but if you say 2 bars of soap, then it means it's more than one. Let's follow through. We have blade of grass, bale of hail, cake of soap, cloud of dust, pinch of salt. So if your mom is cooking, she can say, please put 3 pinches of salt. That would mean it is already more than one. Next, jar of honey or jam. So you can say, I have 2 jars of honey in our home. Next, sack of rice or sack of sugar, slice of ham or cheese, bag of cement or sand, bottle of wine or perfume, gallon, pint, cup, cone of ice cream, drop of blood or water, loaf of slice of bread, pool of water, strand of hair, speck of dust, shower of rain, grain of rice, ear of corn, pail, jug, glass of water, kilowatt of electricity. So more on, mass nouns can be counted only if they are using partitive expressions or what we call also noun counters. But likewise, when I mentioned earlier the words homework, courage, wisdom, advice, those mass nouns cannot be counted. So these always require verb with S because they are always singular nouns. Same also with piece of information. As you can say, we do not say information. Just like when we go back to the first slide, information is not plural. So if you wanted to make this one plural, the word information, you say, I'll give you pieces of information. Now, let's move on to the foreign plural nouns. The reason why we call these foreign plural nouns is because they originated from the other countries and is now accepted in the English dictionary. So there are 6 major rules, and I'll add one more which are not following the 6 major rules. Let's talk about the other 6 rules first. First rule is that change to a. If your foreign plural noun change or ends with all you need to do is to change it to a. Example, addendum to agenda, curriculum to curricula, addendum to addenda. Next, we also have the on change to a. For the words that ends with on, we have criterion to criteria, phenomenon to phenomena. So again, on change to a. Next, we also have cease change to cess. The words ending with cease are the following. We have thesis to thesis, parenthesis to parenthesis. and hypothesis to hypothesis. Number 4, US changed to I. We have fungus to fungi, octopus to octopi. However, in some English terms, octopus now can have the word octopuses. Next, we have radius to radii. Number 5, IX or EX changed to ICES. So we have index to indices, vertex to vertices. Number 6, if the word A ends with A, all you need to do is add E. Example, larva to larvae, antenna to antennae, and alga to not algae, but algae. Again, so these words ends with A, but then all we need to do is to add E. So to summarize the rules for the foreign plural nouns, we have UM changed to A, on changed to A, Cs changed to ses, US changed to IX or EX changed to ICES or ses, just add I before the ses, and A, add E. As I've mentioned earlier, there are times that we need to neglect these rules, or some rules do not follow, or some words do not follow these rules. Here are some examples. We have the bow. In English plural, we have bows or bow with an X. We have cherub to cherubs and cherubim, formula to formulas or formulae, focus, focuses or foci, gymnasium to gymnasiums or gymnasia, memorandum to memorandums or memoranda, medium to mediums or media. That's why we say social media. Next, radius, we have radiuses or radii, spectrum to spectrums or spectra, and vortex to vortexes to vortices. So again, these are some of the foreign plural nouns that do not follow the other 6 rules which are aforementioned. After knowing the 3 major rules, let us now move on to the subject-verb agreement. How are we going to use these nouns or these 3 nouns that I've mentioned earlier into sentences? So we'll be focusing now on irregular, mass, and the foreign singular and plural nouns. Let's begin. For the irregular nouns, always remember that when the subject is singular, your verb should be with S. However, if the subject is plural, verb no S. Example, my tooth are missing. So we have here tooth, and since tooth is singular, your verb should be is. Next, my right foot were aching since yesterday. Since our subject here is foot, then our verb should be was. Next, the chairman have made their final decision. Can you find the subject in the sentence? Great! The subject is chairman, and chairman is a plural form. Therefore, our verb is have. Last, the man and the woman ties the knot. As we can see, we can say that man, woman are singular. However, because of the word and, the and made this one a plural subject because it means there are already 2 nouns. We have the man and the woman. So then, we are going to use tie instead of ties. Do you understand? Because of the word and, instead of man and woman, which is singular, these 2 nouns are joined together, giving us a compound subject. Next, let's move on to the mass nouns, which are generally singular. Our homework are very difficult. As mentioned earlier, homework is singular, so our verb is. 2 bars of soap are required for the experiment. So as we mentioned, soap is a mass noun, but because of the counter 2 bars, we already know that this is already in the plural form. Hence, our verb should be are. Next, 3 pinches of salt are needed for the recipe to taste better. Can you find out which verb matches the subject? Great work. Our verb should be are because our subject is 3 pinches of salt. So it's not just the salt, but it's already because of the counters 3 pinches make this sentence into plural meaning. Last one, education is a priority of the Filipinos. Very good. Education is a mass noun and it is also considered singular, hence our subject is or our verb is. Now, let us move on to the foreign plural nouns. Again, this follows the irregular plural noun rules because when the subject is singular, use verb with s. But if the subject is plural, verb no s. Example, the larva of the butterfly are laid on plants. Here, our subject is the word larva. And let us identify. Let's go back to the rule. Which rule best applies to this one? Very good. To make this one into its plural form, add e. Definitely, larva is singular, so our verb should be is. Next, can you explain what stimulus were used in that activity? In this sentence, our subject is stimulus. Is this singular or is this plural? Very good. This is singular because the plural of stimulus is stimuli. US changed to I. Therefore, our verb is was. Next, the data that you need are in my computer. Can you find out if data is singular or plural? Yes, data is in the plural form. Therefore, our verb is are. Data's singular form is datum. Next, fungi thrives on the bark of the trees. What do you think is the word fungi? Is this singular or plural? Great! The correct answer is that fungi is plural. Therefore, our verb is thrive. What is the singular form of fungi? Very good. The singular form of fungi is fungus. US changed to I. I know that the foreign plural nouns is a bit tricky, so all you need to do is to find out the base word and then know the rules that are aforementioned in our previous lesson. So for us to be able to get this better, let's have a quick activity. Now let's focus first on the irregular plural nouns. Okay? So if you are ready, let's get started with this activity. What is the plural form of the word child? The word is children. Next, tuna. The word tuna's plural is tuna. Next, offspring. Offspring doesn't have a plural form. Offspring is still offspring. Next, woman. The plural is women. Next, police. What is the plural of police? The correct answer is, of course, police, because police is still in the singular form. Next, how about the word goose? What is the plural of goose? The plural of goose is geese. Now let's try activity 2. Let's now focus on the foreign plural nouns. Remember the rules? Change to A, on change to A, sis change to ses, ix or ex change to ises, A add E, and us change to I. So if you're ready, let's get started with activity 2. What is the plural form of the word alumna? The plural form of alumna is alumnae. Next, addendum. What is the plural of addendum? The plural of addendum is addenda. Next, what is the plural of bacterium? The plural of bacterium is bacteria. Next, what is the plural of cactus? The plural of cactus is cacti. What is the plural of the word appendix? The plural of appendix is appendices. IX changed to ICES. What is the plural of the word alumnus? The plural of alumnus is alumni. Now, let's try to write the correct plural form of the irregular and the foreign nouns. You are given a minute to work on this activity. Again, all you need to do is to write the plural form of these nouns. If you're ready, let's begin. Okay, great. So I believe that you were able to apply all the rules that were mentioned earlier in our first part of this lesson. So if you are now ready, let us check your work. Okay? So the plural of larva is larvae, stimulus is stimuli, datum is data, fungus is fungi, radius is radii, antenna is antennae, matrix is matrices, symposium is symposia, phenomenon is phenomena, bacillus is bacilli. Homework doesn't have a plural form. Ox to oxen, furniture is furniture, bison, bison, series to series, weather is still weather, sugar to sugar, tooth to teeth, man of war to men of war, and advice to advice. Were you able to get all the 20 items correctly? If not, please feel free to go back to our previous activity so that you can perfect and master this activity. Okay, so now let us put all the lessons that you have learned into practice. All you need to do is to choose the correct verb that will best agree with the subject. So once again, please take note, especially if you're using foreign plural nouns, check if whether it is already in the singular or in the plural form. So all you need to do in this activity is to encircle the correct verb that will best agree with the subject. You are given a minute to work on this activity. Let's begin. Okay, so now let's check your work whether This one is singular or plural, and if your verb matches to it. Let's begin. Number 1, what is or are the criteria? Criteria is plural, therefore your verb should be are. Criteria's singular form is criterion. Next, number 2, the data you are asking is or not available yet. The word data is in the plural form, therefore you use the word are. The data in singular form is datum. Number 3, the information is are very reliable. Here, information is singular, therefore you use is. Next, number 4, our group hypothesis were approved by our teacher. Hypothesis is singular, therefore use the word was. The plural of hypothesis is hypotheses, S-E-S. Next, number 5, this equipment that we bought were easily broken. Equipment is singular, therefore use the word was. 3 geese walks on the pond. Geese is in the plural, therefore you use the word walk. The radius of the circle is 45 degrees. Radius is singular, the plural of radius is radii, so therefore our verb should be is. The 3 furniture mom purchased are very expensive. Given the counter 3, we understand that furniture, though it is singular, will become plural because of the counter. Hence, our verb should be are. Next, several cacti in the mall costs more than the ones I saw in Cavite. Cacti is in the plural form. The verb is costs. 10. 2 millennia have already passed by. Millennia is in the plural form, use have. Next, 5 deer were sick for 2 days now. Deer is in both singular and plural form, but because of the counter 5, we understand that this is plural. Therefore, we use were. Lastly, who is our guest alumnus in our graduation ceremony? Alumnus is in the singular form, therefore our answer is. Were you able to get all these items correctly? If yes, very good. So for us to summarize this lesson, number 1, irregular nouns. So irregular nouns are nouns that either change their spelling or has the same spelling. Number 2, we also tackled about mass nouns, and that mass nouns are singular in form. But they may be plural if we use noun counters. Next, we studied about the foreign plural nouns. changed to a, on changed to a, cis changed to ses, ix or ex changed to ses, ices, ices, us changed to I, and a add e. We also discussed about the subject-verb agreement rules. So when you're using irregular nouns, remember when the subject is singular, verb with s. But when the subject is plural, verb no s. If we're using mass nouns are always singular, so we use verb with s. However, when we use counters, we can now use either singular verb with s or plural verb without s. So you just need to check if there is a counter prior to the mass noun. For foreign plural nouns, we also use the same rule for the irregular nouns. When the subject is singular, verb with s, but when the subject is plural, verb no s. Thank you very much for listening to today's discussion. I hope that when we see each other, you are able to learn this one, and this will be a better and a faster lesson for each one of us. So I'll see you again in our next lesson. Goodbye, everyone.